Chapter 1. The Shadow in the Archives. Location: the Art Crimes Division. Time: 11:42. Weather: heavy rain. It is the first thing you notice in this city when the sun goes down and the traffic dies. It starts as a whisper against the glass, a polite request for attention, before it commits. Now, it is a steady, rhythmic drumming against the single tall window of my office. It washes the city streets clean, or at least it tries to. But in my line of work, you learn that some stains don't wash out. Some stains settle into the canvas, bleeding through the layers of varnish, waiting centuries to be found. I am Jack Varnish. Most detectives deal in fingerprints, DNA, and ballistics. They chase the crimes of the moment, the robberies that happened an hour ago, the domestic disputes that spiraled, the violence that happened last night in a sweaty bar. My beat is different. My jurisdiction is the past. I work in the Art Crimes Division, a department so small and tucked away in the basement of the precinct that most of the other officers forget we exist until a museum gets robbed or a forgery rings up on the auction block. It's quiet down here. The air is cool and smells of things that have been waiting a long time to be discovered. Cedarwood, old vellum, the faint metallic tang of iron gall ink, and the dust of centuries. It is the smell of time itself, decomposing slowly in a climate-controlled room. Tonight, the station upstairs is empty. The phones have stopped ringing. The coffee in the pot has gone cold, a black sludge that tastes like battery acid and regret. It's just me, the circle of yellow light from my desk lamp, and the wall of filing cabinets standing like sentinels in the gloom. I lean back in my chair, the leather creaking softly, a sound like an old man's knee, and listen to the water running through the gutters outside. It's a hypnotic sound, a curtain of water separating me from the modern world. I'm not here to solve a new case. I'm here to reopen an old one, a cold case that's been cold for 400 years. I stand up. My shadow stretches long across the floorboards, distorted and thin. I walk to the heavy steel cabinet in the corner, the one marked 16th century, unsolved capital crimes. The drawer slides open with a heavy, rolling sound, steel on steel, a groan of protest. My fingers trace the tabs, past the forgers, past the tomb raiders, past the smugglers of Venetian gold and the counterfeiters of papal bulls. And there it is, a file thicker than the rest. The cardboard is frayed at the edges, soft with handling, swollen with the humidity of history. The label is handwritten in faded black ink, Merisi, Michelangelo Merisi de Caravaggio. I pull the file. It's heavy. It feels like holding a brick or perhaps a weapon. I carry it back to the desk and set it down. It lands with a dull thud that seems to echo in the silence of the room, a gavel striking a bench. I untie the string. I open the cover. Inside, there are no photographs. Photography is a dream of the future for the man we are hunting. It is a ghost that hasn't been born yet. Instead, there are sketches. There are transcripts of court proceedings written in the looping, hurried script of Roman scribes who were paid by the line. There are letters stained with wax and wine. There are testimonials from rivals, from lovers, from enemies. I light a cigarette, a bad habit I know, forbidden in the building, but the smoke seems to belong here. It curls up into the cone of lamplight, a blue-grey ribbon joining the ghosts in the room. To understand this man, to understand the murderer who painted saints, the sinner who defined the sacred, we cannot start with the blood. We cannot start with the fame. We have to go back to the beginning. We have to travel back before the cameras, before the electric lights, before the noise of the 21st century. Let the sound of the rain outside my window carry you. Let it dissolve the walls of this office. Let the filing cabinets melt into shadows. We are drifting back. We are crossing the Alps, leaving the cool air of Lombardy behind. We are descending into the heat, the dust, and the noise of Italy. The year is 1592. We are in Rome. But this isn't the Rome of postcards. This isn't the clean white marble of a holiday brochure where tourists eat gelato by the fountain. This is the Rome of the late Renaissance, a city of extreme, violent contrasts. A city trying to rebuild itself on the bones of an empire. Imagine the smell first. It hits you before you even see the gates. It is a physical wall. It is the scent of roasting meat and unwashed bodies, of expensive frankincense wafting from the church doors, mixing with the rot of the Tiber River. The river is the main artery of the city, a sluggish brown snake that curls through the heart of Rome, carrying trade, secrets, sewage, and corpses in equal measure. It is a city of shadows. The streets are narrow, winding canyons of stone. The buildings lean in toward each other, blocking out the sun, creating permanent twilight in the alleyways. And in 1592, the streets are crowded. Pilgrims in rough wool cloaks are shuffling towards St. Peter's Basilica, their feet bleeding, clutching rosary beads, desperate for salvation. Soldiers in polished breastplates push through the crowds, their hands resting on the pommels of their swords, watching for heretics and spies. Merchants are shouting the prices of silk and spices. Whores in yellow veils lean from balconies, calling out to the men below. And moving through this chaos, invisible to everyone, is a young man. He is 21 years old. He is nobody, a ghost in the machine. He enters the city through the northern gate, the Porta del Popolo. He is walking because he cannot afford a horse. His boots are worn through to the soles, padding the cobblestones with his own skin. His clothes are the clothes of a provincial, rough, mismatched, dusted with the white chalk of the road. He is physically small, dark-haired, with a face that looks like it was carved from rough stone. His brow is heavy, his jaw set. His eyes are deep set and intense, constantly moving, scanning the crowd, scanning the windows, scanning the shadows. These are not the eyes of a tourist. These are the eyes of a fugitive. This is Michelangelo Merisi. He has not yet earned the name Caravaggio. That name will come later, a title bestowed by fame and infamy. Right now, he is just another hungry mouth in a city of starving people. I look down at the file on my desk. There is a note here, a scrap of parchment detailing his arrival, scribbled by a chronicler years later. It says he arrived naked and extremely needy. He has no money. He has no patrons. He has no place to sleep. He has likely fled Milan one step ahead of the law. Rumours of a quarrel, a wounded police officer, a hasty exit in the dead of night. He carries his past like a heavy sack on his back. But he has something else. He has a fire in his belly that goes beyond simple hunger. It is a terrifying, consuming ambition. Most artists coming to Rome in 1592 came to copy. They came to look at the statues of the ancient Greeks, the perfect marble bodies of Apollo and Venus, and try to imitate their grace. They stood in the Sistine Chapel, craning their necks to look at Michelangelo Buonarroti's ceiling, trying to mimic the divine muscle tone of God. They wanted to paint perfection. They wanted to paint the world as it should be. Sanitized, holy, elevated. Merisi didn't care about how the world should be. He only cared about how it was. As he walks through the muddy streets that first night, he doesn't look up at the soaring domes of the cathedrals. He looks down. He sees the beggar sitting in the mud, wrapping a filthy rag around a swollen ankle. He sees the fortune teller in the tavern, her eyes sharp and predatory as she reads a palm, calculating how much coin she can extract. He sees the young boy selling fruit, his fingernails dirty, his shoulder bare, his smile hesitant and weary. He sees the light hitting a dirty window pane in a brothel. He sees the way a shadow falls across a face, hiding half of it in darkness, creating a mask of mystery. He absorbs it all, the dirt, the grime, the reality. He is building a mental database of evidence. He finds a place to sleep in the district of Campomarzio, the artist's quarter. It's a rough neighborhood, a warren of studios, taverns and flophouses. At night, there are no streetlights here. The darkness is absolute. If you want to walk after dark, you carry a torch, or you pay a link boy to carry one for you. If you walk in the dark without light, you take your life in your hands. The nights are loud. Brawls spill out of taverns. Swords clash in the dark, the distinct shing of steel that signals sudden violence. This is his world. I turn the page in the file. The paper crinkles, dry as bone. The early months are a blur of poverty. He is a nobody, scraping by. He works for other painters, hacks who churn out cheap religious images for pilgrims to take home as souvenirs. He works for a man nicknamed Monsignor Salad because the diet is so poor. Then he lands a job in the workshop of Giuseppe Cesari, the favourite painter of the Pope. Cesari is everything Merisi is not. Polished, political, safe. Cesari paints angels that look like they are made of porcelain. He puts Merisi to work painting flowers and fruit. Hack work, Merisi calls it. He sits in a corner of the studio, painting basket after basket of figs and grapes. But even here, in the boredom of the assembly line, the rebellion starts. He paints the fruit, but he doesn't make it perfect. He paints a wormhole in the apple. He paints a withered leaf on the vine. He paints the rot. Why? Because the rot is real. The rot is the truth. But Rome is a dangerous mistress. While Merisi is in the studio studying the decay on a grape skin, the air outside is turning stagnant, heavy, and poisonous. The cool relief of spring is dead and buried as spring and summer starts, and the summer brings the heat. And with the heat comes the Roman fever, malaria rising from the stagnant marshes of the Tiber. There are reports in the file. He disappears from the workshop. We find him lying in the hospital of the Consolazione, a charity ward for the destitute. Imagine the scene. A long hall filled with the groans of the dying, the smell of sickness and unwashed linen. Merisi is lying there, delirious, sweating through the sheets, staring at the ceiling. He is 22 years old, and he is dying in a room full of strangers. He almost dies before he ever really lives. But he survives. And the fever seems to leave something behind in him. A darkness, a sense of urgency, the realization that life is short, brutal, and can be snuffed out like a candle in a drafty room. When he leaves the hospital, he is changed. He has looked death in the face, and he decides to paint it. He starts to paint on his own. But he has a problem. He is broke. He can't afford professional models. He can't afford the beautiful women or the muscular men that the other artists use. He can't afford the velvet drapes or the golden props. So, he paints what he has. He looks in the mirror. I pull out a sketch from the file. It's a reproduction of an early self-portrait. Boy biting a lizard. I hold it under the lamp. It's a strange, unsettling image. A boy, Merisi himself, or perhaps a street urchin he pulled in, flinching in pain as a lizard bites his finger. Look at the face. It's not heroic. It's not dignified. It's a snapshot of sudden, sharp pain. The brow is furrowed, the mouth slightly open in a gasp. It represents a split second of time. Before this, art was about eternity. Statues stood still forever. But Merisi paints the now, the shock, the reaction, and the lighting. This is the shadow entering the archives, the moment the virus enters the system. The light comes from a single, high source, plunging half the canvas into obscurity. The art world of Rome in 1592 is a polite, stuffy dinner party. It is full of rules. You must paint angels with wings. You must paint the Virgin Mary in blue. You must make everything beautiful, symmetrical, and clean. Merisi is the uninvited guest standing at the door, soaking wet from the rain, mud on his boots, a knife in his belt. He isn't here to follow the rules. He is here to break them all. I sit back in my chair in the art crimes division. The rain outside has settled into a steady, comforting hum, a white noise that helps me think. The city of Rome is asleep in my mind, but the young man is awake. He is out of the hospital now, but he is still on the streets. He falls in with a bad crowd, or perhaps the crowd falls in with him. He meets Mario Minetti, a Sicilian painter who becomes his roommate, his model, and his partner in crime. They live in a single room. They wear their clothes until they rot off their bodies. They spend their money on lamp oil and pigments, and when the money runs out, they spend their nights in the taverns. This is where the file gets interesting. This is where the police reports start. Michelangelo Merisi, detained for carrying a sword without a license. Michelangelo Merisi, questioned regarding an assault on a waiter. Michelangelo Merisi, accused of throwing a plate of artichokes in a man's face. He is volatile. He is proud. He is touchy. He walks the streets with a swagger, a sword at his hip, looking for a fight. He is a man who feels he is owed something by the world, and he is ready to take it by force. But amidst the brawls and the poverty, he paints a masterpiece that changes everything. I shuffle the papers to find the image. The card sharps. It's a scene from a tavern. 3 figures. A naive, wealthy boy is looking at his cards. Opposite him, a cheat, a sharp, is signaling to his accomplice. The accomplice is peering over the rich boy's shoulder, signaling the cards with his gloved fingers. It isn't a religious scene. It isn't a myth. It's a crime scene. It's a con game happening right in front of us. Merisi paints the velvet of the doublets so real you want to touch it. He paints the tension in the cheat's muscles. He paints the torn glove of the accomplice, a detail of poverty that no other artist would bother with. He puts the painting in a shop window near the church of San Luigi dei Francesi. He waits. He is fishing, and he catches a whale. Cardinal Francesco Maria del Monte, a diplomat, a musician, a man of immense power and sophisticated taste. He walks past the shop. He stops. He sees the painting. Most cardinals want paintings of the crucifixion. Del Monte looks at the card sharps and sees something else. He sees the psychological depth. He sees the narrative tension. He sees the genius in the gutter. He buys the painting. And then he does something that changes the course of art history. He offers the dirty, violent, brilliant young man a room in his palace, the Palazzo Madama. I can picture the transition. Merisi, smelling of garlic and cheap wine, carrying his few possessions, walking through the gilded halls of the cardinal's palace. He moves from the street to the penthouse. He is given a salary. He is given food. He is given models. But you can take the boy out of the street, but you cannot take the street out of the boy. He brings the street into the palace with him. When the cardinal asks for saints, Merisi goes out to the piazza and hires the prostitutes, the beggars, and the thieves to pose for him. "This is Mary Magdalene," he says, painting a local courtesan drying her hair. "This is Saint Matthew," he says, painting a burly, bearded tavern regular. He paints the dirt under their fingernails. He paints the veins in their legs. He paints the saints with dirty feet. This is his revolution. He makes the divine accessible. He tells the people of Rome, the saints are like you. They are poor. They are tired. They are human. I take a sip of cold coffee. It's bitter, but it wakes me up. The file is open. The suspect has infiltrated the establishment. He has a patron, he has money, and he has a platform. The stage is set for the greatest run of masterpieces the world has ever seen, and the greatest tragedy. Because the darkness he paints isn't just on the canvas, it's inside him. The brawls don't stop. The anger doesn't fade. The sword at his hip gets sharper. The rain lashes against the window, a sudden gust of wind rattling the frame. It sounds like a warning. I look at the last document in this section of the file, a police report from 1600. The charges are escalating. The violence is getting worse. The genius is balancing on a knife's edge. The tragedy has begun, though no one knows it yet. The paint is still wet. The blood is still in the veins. I close this section of the file. The first act is over. The boy from the provinces has conquered Rome. Now he has to survive it. I reach for the next folder. The label reads, Matthew, Martyrs, and Murder. The night is young, and the dead are waiting to speak.